Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining me for this week's World session. When you're listening to these sessions, make sure that you're nice and comfortable, that you're lying down, and this is a moment of tending to yourself. This is a moment of self-care. So I'm going to go ahead. If you've never experienced a body talk session before, it's a energetic balancing of your whole body mind. So we go in and I energetically scan the body and follow intuition or innate to see what comes up that needs to be balanced, that needs to be brought back into fuller health potential regardless of source. So it could be physical, it could be mental, it could be emotional, it could be environmental, or it could be spiritual. And in body talk, when we work with one thing, let's say we're working on a physical level, we're also simultaneously working on the other levels as well. So the mental, emotional body. So you can go ahead and take a nice deep breath and settle in. If you don't understand everything that's being said, don't worry about it. You don't need to understand. Your body knows what's going on. Your body knows how to heal itself. You have that innate ability. You have that, your body knows what to do, whether you're involved or not. So for example, if you have a cut, you don't have to think about healing your cut. The cut just heals. The body gets to work, and next thing you know, your cut starts to heal over the weeks, and then it's tended to. So such is a body talk session. You don't need to think about it. You don't need to analyze it. You don't need to memorize it or think about it. Just relax and experience it. So feel. All right, what I'm starting with is a balancing of the brain. So this is tapping of the cortices. This is a technique that you can do for yourself. And if you do this for yourself daily, it can improve your health up to 65%. So I'll share that. It's on my YouTube channel. You can go and check it out. Or you can contact me directly and I'll be happy to share this with you. So as I'm doing the tapping of the cortices, my attention is being brought to the occipital brain. And this is the back of the brain, which has to do with eyesight. So I'm just going to continue to balance the brain. There's a nice release there. Woof, and I'm feeling a little bit nauseous. But we're going into the occipital brain. And the part of the occipital brain that's responsible with sight. So this is not so much sight as in there's something wrong with your eyes, but we're going into the subtle sense of sight. So those sayings, right? Seeing is believing. I'll believe it when I see it. So it's really, it limits what is possible. Well, it doesn't limit what's possible. What is possible, and you only see one aspect of it. So I'm in the occipital brain, and we're going to we're dumping trauma out of the occipital brain. So witnessed trauma. So whether you lived in actually a very abusive household, or whether you were watching someone else be abused in your household. And this is also perceived injustice. So you see something on the street, or it's coming up as memory. And we'll also have to dump the memories of trauma out of the occipital brain, because then that's just reflecting into, that's being shown into coming through the eyes as this is all there is. Like, this is what I've seen, this is what I've experienced. I don't know any other way. So we're going to dump those memories out of the my mouth is going really dry, and my tongue is tingly, and my mouth is really pasty. We're going to dump these memories out of that occipital brain, out of the subtle sense of sight, We're through an active memory, so linking that into diaphragm, small intestines to neutralize those charged memories that are stored in the back of the head and are impacting how you view life or how you view yourself or how, it's very specific, how you view intimate relationships, how you respond to being in a relationship. So intimate relationships can be with a partner, but it also could be close friendships with your children, colleagues, and also intimate relationship with yourself. And there's a big burp coming up on that one, my intimate relationship with myself, my relationship with myself through the lens of being abused or abusing. It's very it feels just very complex. So we're going to run a hydration to the occipital brain. We're dumping the memories out of the occipital brain through an active memory thread. We've got to do a reorganization. I've got to anchor this into the heart. So misperceptions of self and self-doubt, judgment, so judging yourself really harshly, mean talk, so we're talking really mean and cruel things to yourself. And the lymphatic system in the brain is linked to the lymphatic system, and the lymphatic system takes out the garbage, and so it's linked to the spleen. It takes out the garbage. It takes out, the cells need to dump the water. They need to dump. Your body creates toxicity, and the lymphatic system takes it out. But when there's negative self-talk, over-analyzing, over-criticizing yourself, self-criticism, and really it's coming up as self-doubt. I doubt myself. I doubt myself. I doubt myself. I really think at the core that I'm bad. I really think at the core that I think that I'm bad. I think that I'm bad. And then this is affecting the way that you see yourself. Well, if I think that I'm bad, I must be bad. I've been told my whole life I'm bad, or I'm a bad girl, or I'm a bad boy, or I'm doing something wrong. So I must be bad. I must be wrong. And this is the lens that you're viewing the world with and also viewing yourself with. So we need to shift that out of the occipital brain. So we're going to anchor all of that junk talk. I don't know how else to say it, but it's just that mean talk. We're going to dump that through consciousness, anchoring it to the heart of misperceptions of self. There it goes. And at the same time, we're going to run a body chemistry to build up toxicity within the brain. Is this through intolerance? So it's coming up as toxic, so toxicity in the brain, and that doesn't have any specifics. So this could be heavy metals through the food that you eat, through the water that you drink, from the clothes that you wear, from perfumes or colognes or deodorants. The skin absorbs everything within 26 seconds. It's always also coming in from food sources, and toxicity also through what you ingest. So visually, what you ingest, like through TV or through writings or through friendships, if the friendship is toxic. And then we got to neutralize all of that out of that occipital brain. Now we're going into the physical eye structure itself. So I'm in the retina. And there's these filters over the retina. So either, everything is gray and you're wearing glasses that have this gray screen over it. So a lack of joy, a lack of everything's bad, or bad things always happen to me. There's no joy in life. Or also not seeing what in front of you, what is. So wearing those rose-colored glasses. So avoiding actually what's this not either or is not reality. So we're in the retina right now, and we're going to dump depression out of the eyes. grief and is there anger? So rage. We're going to dump rage out of the retina. Whew. So I'm a little bit shaky on that rage. So this rage is coming up to unacknowledged anger coming from childhood. Whew. I'm going to link this into the liver because the liver knows what to do with anger. It organizes and it plans. And we want that anger not to go up into the head and get congested with thoughts. So having angry thoughts, mulling over the past, mulling over the past, mulling over the past, and getting really angry, getting really resentful about it. It's coming up as resentment, a resentment. So we got to dump resentment out of the eyes, dump it out of the brain, and anchor that healthy anger. So anger is healthy. You need anger. It moves the blood and makes the heart beat. It's the thing that keeps our lymphatic system moving. And it also is the reason my hands are moving. It animates, it's movement. And it's also the thing that catalyzes change most often. So that's saying, oh, I got angry enough to do something about it. But when it's unacknowledged, this is coming up to unacknowledged anger from childhood. Maybe you lived in a childhood where you were shut down, you were told to sit down, be quiet, you don't know what you're talking about. And then now as an adult, you do that to yourself. And so this is unacknowledged anger that's turned into rage. Whew, we got to balance that out. I'm going to anchor that to small diaphragm, small intestines. Whoa, that was a really big release over there. That was a really big movement. So I'm just going to go ahead and tap this in so the body can start to dump this dysfunction, to dump this unhealthy way of being, inviting in full health potential. So there's huge amounts of grief coming up. I could feel it through my muscular system. I could feel it on my face. So I'm just gonna let grief move around. So grief is healthy and all the natural emotions are healthy. So grief actually helps to let go of the past, let go of experiences, let go of thinking. It helps to move into what is and not be stuck in the past, mulling over the same things over and over again. It almost feels like torturing yourself with, it's coming up in through the lungs and through the skin, through the Wei Qi. It's just all over. It's like, oh, I should have done, what's coming up is I should have done differently. I should have been different. I should have done different. I can't believe I said that. I can't believe I didn't say that. Oh my God, I'm so embarrassed. Oh my God, I'm so ashamed. I can't believe I didn't see the signs. I can't believe I ignored the red flags. I ignored myself. I ignored my intuition. I ignored my gut. And then in comes this grief, this unhealthy grief, like, oh, good grief, Charlie Brown, you're doing this again to yourself. So beating yourself up again and again and again. But we're going to anchor this into healthy grief. So healthy grief lets go, it disperses. So anytime you go to the bathroom, that's grief moving through your body. And if you let go, and then if you let go. But letting go can't be forced. It's just something that happens. So you can't force yourself into letting go of anything. You can't force yourself to let go of anything. It's like, oh, but I want to let go of this. I'm so tired of holding on to this experience, to this memory. I just want to move into I want to move into something different, but I can't let go of it. I can't let go of it. So I'm going to bring in some compassion for the strings or the parts of yourself that you haven't met yet, or the versions of yourself that you haven't met yet. And compassion for what you're going through now. So there's some tension in my back and my arms feel really heavy and limp. I'm going into the back, into the wings of those back muscles, like the filet mignon of your back. Whoa, And it feels really heavy. I feel like I just completely drooped over. So we're going to do a full spinal balancing from the C1. So that's your atlas down through the coccyx. Stand you right up. So face your life with your shoulders back. Sure, life isn't easy, or no, that's not it. That's not the sentence that I want to say. You face yourself honestly, and then from there, change can take place. It's only when you turn to face the things that you're running away from that you can face yourself with honesty and move into your life with integrity is coming up. So as soon as I say integrity, my shoulders go back and up and out. And then we're going to dump through that filet mignon of the back. We're going to run a hydration method. Feels a little crispy in there. So making sure that the muscles are nicely hydrated. And then there's a little bit of a glitch happening with the distribution of H3O or easy water, and that's what's needed for muscular regeneration and muscular hydration. And there's a little bit where the water is not being properly utilized by the back muscles, so it makes them really stiff, really stiff. So we're going to hydrate those back muscles and linking it into a full spinal balance for flexibility, the ability to be flexible. So flexible with yourself, flexible with your thinking, flexible with life, like a big tree. Like we can imagine yourself as whatever tree you are in your life, whether it be a palm tree or an oak tree or a birch tree or a maple tree or a pine tree or whatever kind of tree that you are. And the tree is firmly rooted in its life. It's firmly rooted in the ground, and life happens. It blows you about sometimes. Sometimes there's storms in life. That the tree bends with flexibility. It can maneuver, it can sway with the changing times, it can take practical action. So this is what without overthinking, without overanalyzing, without beating yourself up, without negative self-talk. It's like, okay, well, there's a storm coming or it's arrived. So this could be an internal storm as well. How am I going to be flexible with this? Maybe I need to try something new. Maybe I need to have a different perspective. Maybe I need to see myself differently, with compassion, with gentleness. And then we're just moving this into a flexible spine. So so that spine needs to stay nice and flexible. So there's a few things that are said. If you have perfect breath, you have perfect health. And if you have a healthy spine, you have full health as well. So we're just going to bring in consciousness of flexibility within the back and within those vertebrae. We want them to be able to move. Like a kid, they're so flexible. They can fold themselves into such small contortions. And it's like, Mom, look, or Dad, look at me, look at me. And they're like a pretzel. So somewhere along the line, we lost that childhood flexibility. So if you want to think back to when you were really little, as far back as you can go, when you were just going about life, and then you would have one emotion, let's say you would cry, and then you would be laughing, and then you would be angry, and you would just be in the moment of the experience. But something happens along the way when we go into adult life. We lose that curiosity, we lose that playfulness, we lose that sense of joy. Somewhere along the line, something changes. Life hasn't changed. The nature of life hasn't changed. It's us and our perspective of it that's shifted. So we're tapping back into that curiosity, that spontaneity of being a child, of that childlike curiosity. So not childish. So childish is immature and usually resentful and arrogant and entitled is childish. But childlike curiosity is like, oh, what happens if I do this? Or what happens if I try that? And it's like, oh, with no expectations or not being goal oriented, that you want something to happen absolutely the way that you want it to happen. And that brings us back into the eyes. It's like, well, seeing is believing. And I like to say, believing is seeing. Believing is seeing. We bring to you experiences to either show you where you're restricted in your life still, or you bring to you yourself experiences and you can view them from a different perspective. It's like, oh, what's this? What's happening now? How can I be flexible here? You can challenge your thoughts. What am I thinking? Is it actually true? How do I know this to be absolutely true? How do I know this to be absolutely true? And that also goes for yourself. How do I know that this is absolutely true about myself? What I'm thinking about myself, all those mean things that I say about myself, what makes them true? Like, who says? There we go. And there's a nice release through there. All right, let's see what this session brings for us for this week. Thank you so much for joining me. You would go ahead and like and subscribe to my YouTube channel. That helps me so much to keep this work going and to support you, and it supports me so much. Thank you all for joining me, and see you next Friday.